Sal Capaccio just tweeted out, the countdown clock hits 0. On our YouTube stream, we've added a Sal clock. G's running the YouTube account today, and Sal, I didn't know we had a Sal clock. We have a Sal clock now.
I've seen it in the afternoon. Apparently, it's never been in the morning before, but I've seen it on the afternoon shows.
All right, well.
Now I know I got to be timely.
That's right. We're down to zeros on the Sal clock. You're here to talk about what happened yesterday. Before we get into Brandon Beane, Jordan Poyer, and the news of yesterday, we just last segment we're answering a question about the stadium, and you were on that tour with us yesterday. So your quick takeaways on walking through the new Highmark once again is it's less than a year until we'll ultimately be in there for football games.
Well, I think just big picture, it's going up quick, right? There's a lot of new things happening all the time. You don't really realize what's happening inside when you're outside of it all the time. That was the first time I had been there in about a year, actually. There had been other stadium tours I just couldn't be a part of, so yesterday was my first chance to do that. And you see everything going in the outside, and now it's really starting to pick up there. But, man, once you go inside, it looks like a stadium, right? It's finally, you have what are kind of like bleachers right now that will be seats eventually, right? They have everything in there. The slabs are ready, and even the metal brackets, the brackets for the seats to go in are coming in. But I would say this, and I think you guys agree. I don't know if you said this or not. I don't think there's a bad seat in the house. I don't think there's a bad seat in this Highmark Stadium. You can be a little further away. This one is more pitched, as we know. Even when you're up top, Jeremy, the seats that you'll have that you stood there and looked at, we all stood there. Like, it's a great seat, and you're a little higher up, but you're really not. You know what I mean? Because you're right there on top of the field. I think the things that the fans don't see that, eventually you will in pictures or whatever, but where the players get to go as far as training and pregame and the locker room and everything at their disposal is just awesome. And this is coming from somebody, like, I like this stuff. I've been to all but 3 NFL stadiums. I see a lot of this stuff around the league. The Bills will be very, very well taken care of in their, ability to prepare for a football game, play a football game, and have everything they need.
It's going to be incredible.
Yes.
Wish we could tell more people exactly that and drive home how. While you say there's no bad seat in the current Highmark and no bad seat in this new Highmark, it is going to be a different experience. And one other thing I say, Sal, is you might go to 10 games. I mean, you get season tickets, you sit in the same seat. But there are a lot of different experiences you might have. Josh was asking us about, like, the standing room. You might go to a game and have standing room. You might go to a game and watch it over here, watch it over there. There's going to be a lot of different experiences in the new Highmark in a way that they maybe aren't in the current one.
No, that's right. And concerts, too, right? I mean, this is going to be well set up for other events, not just football, obviously. But, that's the main thing that people will be going for and watching is Buffalo Bills football. And you're right about that, Jeremy. If you stand in the, would that be the north end zone, and you're in the area there where you have the long standing room with the bar, you'll be able to kind of go get food, drinks, meet with people, and turn around and watch the game. That's great. When you go to a baseball game, I think most stadiums you go to now in baseball, when you go to the concessions, you can walk the entire circumference of the stadium and watch the game. Mm-hmm. Maybe when you get to the outfield in some certain spots, you can't. But kind of that's what this is, right? So if you are at one 10-yard line and you want to walk all the way over to the other 10-yard line, you're walking through, like, around the end zone, you can just keep watching the game. It's going to be right there on your left or on your right as you walk. And the concessions are it's not like the current stadium where you have to walk down a tunnel, you're at the concessions, you don't see the game going on during that time. That's a pretty cool deal. I know my wife and son they went to SoFi for the Bills game against the Rams. And one of the things at SoFi we learned when they were there was when you have a ticket on one level, you can't go on another level. Now, I would say SoFi is pretty unique like that. Most stadiums you can. But here, it's so easy, the access for what we were talking about with John Polka and Todd and everybody, the people who give us the tour, they were amazing. And I asked specifically, like, okay, if you have a ticket, like Jeremy's up on the 3rd level, can he come down and hang out with people down here? Absolutely. Yeah. Super easy to do that. You can do that, and then you go back and, by the way, on your way back, you can watch the game, which is really cool.
I remember that exact scenario happening to me at U.S. Cellular Field in Chicago for the White Sox. Mm-hmm. I had a ticket to the upper deck, and here I just want to see a stadium. I'm on a baseball stadium journey to see as many as I can. And I try to walk around the main concourse, and they're like, oh, you can't walk down here. And I was able to hold a really solid grudge against the White Sox for a good 10 years. A blood feud And now that you've reminded me
Was
of
it like a packed house even?
No, it's just a July Chicago White Sox game. Now that I remember that, Sal, I'm renewing my feud with the Chicago White Sox. So thank you for reminding me.
Okay, well, I will tell you, I went to that stadium, White Sox, the newer one, right? That you're not talking old Comiskey, right?
No, the new one, yeah.
I went to that stadium maybe last year or 2 years ago when the Bills were playing a preseason game. Just me. I went and I had a night. And I was there. And I got a ticket, and I had a really nice ticket down low behind the dugout. And I said, I want to go walk this stadium. And I will tell you, I had no problem. So maybe they changed the rules. Because I walked that whole stadium, went all the way up top, took pictures. They had a really nice view of the skyline. By the way, that's cool too, right?
Yeah.
There was a spot where we were standing yesterday, and you could see, like, all of Western New York, it seemed like. You see downtown. It was just really, really cool.
Yeah. One thing I'm also eager to see in practice, Sal, the security gates and the ticketing gates being separate by a lot. So the potential entry into the stadium could be a lot smoother. So it's going to be just a very different experience. All right. So yesterday, from the future to the past, coming back, Jordan Poyer back with the Buffalo Bills on the practice squad, a guy that, of course, knows the system. Take us through the day yesterday down at One Bills Drive. You know, when we got you on, it was a bit of a surprise to a lot of people. You and Matt Beauvais kind of, you mentioned you took a question on the podcast. It's always game day in Buffalo, and you both kind of said, nah, they're not going to bring back Poyer. And here we are. We're all kind of surprised that it happened. So the pluses, the minuses, if you see, one or two, take us through it.
Yeah. By the way, good transition from the future to the past right there. I like that.
Thank you.
With the guys coming back. I was really surprised about Jordan Poyer coming back. But, listening to him and understanding, he didn't know if he wanted to play football, but, this was the right opportunity for him, and he felt that he could help this organization. And that's why he's back here and doing that. And, who knows down the road? Is Jordan Poyer going to play in the 53-man roster? Well, sure, he's a practice squad player, and if you need him, you can do that. In the meantime, I really like what Brandon Beane said about, these guys and how they can help. Thad Brown asked a really good question to Brandon Beane yesterday. And I think there's a good perspective for people to try to put in here, which is when you're talking, right now you have pretty much 70 guys on a roster. 53 on your active, 17 in your practice squad with an international player. So let's just rank them, right? When you get down to spots 65 through 70, it's the last 5 guys on any NFL roster. Thad asked, Brandon, how you think about that when you talk about young guys developing versus veterans who can, be a part of your organization. And Brandon said that's a real thing, right? You have to decide, are those last 5 guys, let's just say, on your roster, are those guys that you say, you know what, that guy's we like him, his skill set, he's not ready to play in this league, but he's a project. It's a lottery ticket, pretty much, right? And you can justify that. Or you could say, you know what, this is a guy that's been in this league. He understands everything we do. And we got some young guys who got to play, and he's going to help us. He's going to help us prepare every week. And right now, that's important for the Bills. The Bills aren't rebuilding, right? The Bills aren't a team that's looking to, win 3 years from now, to develop those guys. The Bills are a team now that has guys, they have some young guys that got to play and mix in with a team that's trying to win a Super Bowl. So a guy like Jordan Poyer, a guy like Jordan Phillips, they can come in here, and what they do for the team is, well, the way he described it, it's a great way to put it. It's not just like on the field. He's not a coach, right? Yeah, you want him to be a mentor, but how you prepare in a meeting room, questions you're asking, maybe something comes up that he's seen that other people in the room haven't seen. You're preparing for the Baltimore Ravens. Jordan Poyer can look at Cole Bishop and everybody in that room and go, hey, you remember 2 years ago when they did this with Lamar? Oh, yeah, let's go back and take a look at that. Like, these are things that he can help with. And that's why you bring people back into your organization like that a lot of times. And I'll tell you, I think the Bills do it far more than anybody. And there's definitely room to say, that's too much. They do this too often. They go to the well too often. I get it. But I also understand the perspective of why you would do something like that. And the Bills aren't bringing people back into this organization who they don't feel are culture fits and are here for the right reasons, are going to be selfless. That was a word used by Brandon Beane yesterday. I like that. And understand that they're here for a higher purpose of the team and to help, try to push everybody, even further to get to their ultimate goal. Now, that being said, yesterday at practice, no Tre'Davious White, no Christian Benford. We did not see Tre'Davious White. I did see him in the field house talking with people walking around after practice, but he was never out on the practice field in any capacity. Christian Benford was, but he was on the exercise bike with Cedric Van Pran Granger, with Tylon Grable, and he was doing, some work with trainers off to the side. No Curtis Samuel at practice yesterday, which is still concerning. Yep. He was sick, remember, missed the game on Saturday. And then, Khalil Shakir was back. He said he's feeling good. I did ask him specifically, like, hey, what do you think about tracking for week 1? And he just, he didn't want to go there. He's just like, hey, I'm just working every day to get better and feeling better every day.
One more quick thing on Poyer before we get to the injuries. I want to follow up there. Last year, this was Micah Hyde. This is very different, though. I mean, if nothing else, Sal, it's different from the player because I don't think Hyde ever expected to play, and I think Poyer expects to play.
Yeah, I don't know if he expects to, but I would say this.
He thinks he can?
The biggest difference, Jeremy, is the timing, and that's where the play might come in, right? So Hyde comes in really late in the year. Even if the Bills looked at Micah Hyde 3 weeks later and said, hey, we might need you here. I don't know if that would be possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jordan Poyer is here now. If you get to the middle of the season, you get to November, and you're like, we got some injuries, Jordan. We need you for a game or two. I think that's a different scenario than last year. Now, Jordan Poyer has not been the same player the last couple of years. You watch him play on the field, I think he's definitely, not the same. He's lost a step. He's not the same guy that he was when he's an all-pro, like from years ago. But you need a guy in a pinch that understands what to do. Coaches can put him in a position to make sure he's not in that position to cost you in any capacity. And he can go out there and play, and he's been ramping up, and his body's fresh because he hasn't been playing 10, 11 games. Then I do think that's a different scenario than Micah last year.
Yeah. You still think, though, it would be because of injuries if that were to happen, right? Like, can you foresee a scenario where Cole Bishop is healthy and it's just going so poorly that they would turn right to Poyer, or maybe even they would turn to somebody else first?
It's a great question. I don't know, Joe. Could I see that scenario? Sure. If it's going really poorly, you have a guy there. That's why he's there. He's on your practice squad. You can bring him up. But I do think you have to think about his age, what he means to you. What does that look like? Is that for the rest of the year? That might be in a pinch. So in that scenario, I would think we could use him in a pinch. We could use him in a game. But we got to find somebody better who's, on a daily and weekly basis.
Yeah. Sal, as you mentioned, Tre'Davious White, Khalil Shakir, and Curtis Samuel, just 3 names here. Christian Benford as well. Are we still basically in the last throes of load management, being careful? Was it Bean who said next Wednesday is when we kind of get – that's when injury designations come out, right?
Yes.
So is this the last few days of still preseason? Next week is when you practice to play.
Yeah, and he said that for that reason, Jeremy, which is basically it's Brandon Beane telling you, we don't have to tell you anything right now on Tre'Davious White, but we got to tell you next Wednesday, right? That's when the injury designations come out officially. So, they'll yes, I think to answer your question, they'll still slow play as much as possible. Let's remember, it still is a 17-game season, 18 weeks. You have veterans who, like Khalil Shakir, and I'd say Tre'Davious White in this case, if you give them an extra day or two they need, you're coming back in, you're going to be okay because you know everything you're supposed to do, right? And you're not going to rush anybody anyway, but especially in cases like that where those guys are going to prepare and do everything they can to get on the field and be ready. And then when they are on the field and they're ready, mentally they're also kind of engaged. That was a question about Khalil yesterday, which is chemistry with Josh. And Brandon's like, yeah, I don't worry about that whatsoever. Like he knows and Josh knows how to play with each other. Next Wednesday is the first day of official injury designations. It's the first day of practice participation designations, and that's why Brandon Beane mentioned it. You'll get he said, so just to clarify what Brandon Beane said or didn't say on Tre'Davious White. He didn't clarify exactly what the injury is. He did not get into specific timelines on him. He said, we'll see, hopeful or whatever, about week 1. He said specifically, he was asked, are you ruling him out you're not ruling him out for week 1. He said, I am not ruling him out for week 1. Meaning like, hey, by the time we get to next week, who knows where Sean McDermott is by the end of next week, but he's not going to do that right now. And that's encouraging, obviously. So, yeah, next Wednesday's a big day when it comes to that. And the other guys, too, that you mentioned. And Curtis Samuel, we'll see where that goes. I think for the rest of this week, there's no media today. So we're not out there watching practice today to see, who's out there, who's not out there. By next week, we'll get a much better feel as they ramp up towards the Ravens.
The Shakir injury, Sal, him back at practice and still having over a week until the Ravens game. Is it going to be tough to tell, you think, before that game what level of health he's going to have? He played through it right last year in the Baltimore game, and then he misses a little bit of time. Or would you think that, given that it's this far out, that him being full go, it's a good sign for him?
It's a good sign, I think, if that he's out there now, Joe. I mean, it's a week and a half, that you have until then. but it's still something he's got to deal with here for another week or so. I would think, given everything I just said about how they feel about Khalil Shakir, the fact that they would not rush him, they're not going to. They know that he can come in and he knows the offense and his chemistry is fine. So, giving him an extra day or two would be fine with them. But the fact that he's on the field already on a Wednesday, I think is really encouraging.
Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. Sal, we're waiting for the Rivalry's uniforms later today. You know a lot of people. Sal, anybody show you those yet?
No, I've heard things, but not things that I, want even to share or feel comfortable sharing because I have no idea what's right or wrong, to be honest with you. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put anything out that I've heard or not heard or whatever because everybody thinks they know something.
Yeah.
I've heard some things, but I'm just waiting like everybody else to see, what they look like. You guys, so everybody knows, you'll join me. You'll be there in studio.
Yeah, we're going to hang around.
At 10 o'clock because that's when it drops. I want your live reactions during the Extra Point Show.
I'd love to give live reactions. At least they told us they're coming out at 10 a.m. instead of us sitting here waiting for 4 hours saying, was it going to be now?
Yeah.
Only to see them come at 10 a.m. So, yeah.
You don't like the Dolphins ones, right?
I think it looks like a Thursday night Jacksonville uniform. I thought that'd be a little bit more... whatever, bonkers, off the wall. And I'm not trying to say it would be crazy, but it just looks like the Dolphins could have just announced a black jersey and said, like, okay, there it is. If, in fact, that's the Dolphins jerseys, I am underwhelmed. But I don't expect to be blown away by all 8 of them. The AFC East and the NFC West will announce them today. And these are uniforms they're going to wear for 3 years, like at least once a year for 3 years. The Bills will wear theirs against New England in Week 5 in the Sunday night game. So we'll see. And
do we know, by the way, New England would they be wearing theirs also?
No, because I think you're only wearing them at home. Is the idea?
Right. So I'm guessing, I don't know this. Are the Dolphins wearing theirs on a night game against the Jets Week 4?
Correct.
Yes.
I did look that up because I wondered if they would wear. They're not going to wear black in the Miami sun, right? That's not something they ever want to do. So yes, they'll wear them in a night game, and I think Miami Nights is something that we had heard might be their kind of like connection. So black with neon kind of colors, like that's what they went with. So, if in fact that's right.
So they're going to wear theirs on Monday night against the Jets Week 4. Then the Bills are going to wear theirs on Sunday night Week 5 against the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then when would the Patriots wear theirs? I don't know.
The Patriots are going to wear theirs against the Jets in a Thursday night game, November 13th. So you wear them against
the Jets wearing.
That means the Patriots are probably wearing theirs against the Bills, right? Because the Jets are wearing.
You mean the Jets are?
Yeah.
That would have to be Week 2 then.
The Jets are wearing their December 7th Gotham City football uniform.
That is not then. The Jets, December 7th, they're playing the Dolphins. Oh, so you're going to get Dolphins wearing theirs in their home game. Jets wearing theirs in their home game, and then I guess the same thing with the Patriots. Patriots are wearing them against the Bills, you said?
No, the Patriots, it looks like they're wearing them against the Jets.
Wow.
Interesting.
Everybody's
wearing it in one of their home games, and it's going to be, so I guess the Bills don't see a road rivalry uniform.
But they will see the road Falcons?
The Falcons are wearing the red helmets and black jerseys, and the Bills in that game are wearing their white helmets, throwback helmets.
Standing Buffalo.
And the Bills are wearing their whites, their throwbacks against the Buccaneers. But from my understanding, the Bucs are not wearing their creamsicles that day.
Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. Sal, we got time for a call here. Mario in Jacksonville's called in, so hang out with us for a minute. Hey, Mario, good morning.
Hey, guys, good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so there's some rumors going around the past couple of days, and actually ESPN just did a segment on First Take about Micah Parsons. I guess the dispute between him and the ownership has gotten too far that the trade might be actually possible, and they're floating the Bills around. There's a Yahoo Sports article going around that the Bills might have been acquiring some veteran players like Jordan Phillips to put together a package with draft picks and potentially Ed Oliver and maybe Rousseau to send over to Dallas because they want to try to make a play at Parsons. I wanted to get your guys' take on it. I have a suggestion for a package they might be interested in, but I wanted to know if Sal's still on the line there too, if you guys have heard anything about
why don't you just give us your suggestion, and then we'll get to all of it.
Yeah. Well, since we have like celebrities now from Hard Knocks, I think we bring Hamler back and Charlo, and maybe we try to trade them to Dallas because that would be a nice little star-studded cast for them, and then maybe they give us Parsons for those two.
Yeah.
I could tell. I think you're being sarcastic because Jerry Jones loves the loves the star-studded cast right there. Look, I have not heard anything specifically about that. I think that I think a lot of the things that you read and hear are really mainly people's opinions. I have not seen anyone from any outlet report that the Bills were actively pursuing or in on some sort of. Now, I'm not saying it's not out there. I have not seen it. I think what happens, though, is you know the way clicky headlines are, though, guys, right? Like Bills, analyst says Bills inquire Micah Parsons, like, and that's some person's opinion, right?
Right,
like,
right.
oh, this is what they should do. So I think a lot of people feel that. My issue and question has always been, how do you fit it in? It's just that's a huge salary on top of you're already
His
against
cap
the cap.
hit is
I don't know.
his cap is like $24 million. So the
You'd
Bills
have to redo the contract anyway.
Yeah.
And you could probably lower his cap hit
But
by
you can't-
redoing the contract, but
you-
it's still going to be a lot.
you can't trade for him until you have $24 million in cap room, right? Like you'd have
Correct.
to offset that. The one thing I would say about the clickbaity headlines and all that is if there's a pass rusher rumored to be moving, I think the Bills will be in on that rumor every time because it's the thing that they've been chasing all the way back to Vaughn, to signing Bosa, to Bean saying Myles Garrett without saying Myles Garrett would be the guy he would add. He told Bussin' with the boys, if you could add any player from the league, who would it be? His answer was Myles Garrett. So I think anytime a pass rusher, premier pass rusher, is going to be mentioned as moving, we should prepare ourselves for the Bills to be mentioned as a potential destination.
I found the article. Thank you. Is it Mario who gave a call?
Yeah.
Yep,
Thank you.
Mario.
Okay, Mario, thank you. The Yahoo article, this is what it says. Former NFL GM Mike Tannenbaum listed 3 potential trade scenarios for the Cowboys if they were to eventually give up Parsons. The first is the Bills. Dallas would land Ed Oliver and 2 first-round picks. So what that is, again, is an NFL former GM on TV saying, hey, here's some ideas. That's what that is.
Fair enough. You know, my favorite.
Shouldn't that person know how the cap works and knows that can't happen more than
right.
anybody?
My
What are we doing?
My favorite thing to do, though, with a trade like that is if you think like, wow, that's a pretty big package. Where will the Bills' first-round picks be in the next 2 years? Just
29 or later.
Conservatively, 29th? Okay.
Or later.
Okay. You know what 2 29th picks is worth on the trade value chart? Just like
Like the 8th pick.
yeah. Well, not even that. 2 29th picks is worth like the 13th or 12th pick. So would you trade out at Oliver in 12?
Right.
Just I like to do that because sometimes I think the sheer number of first-round picks, the value of the 10th pick and the 30th pick is like an additional 2 firsts apart. So
right. The Giants first is worth more than 2 Bills first.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. All right, Sal, we'll talk at 10 o'clock and we'll scream about uniforms.
You got it, guys. Thanks.
All right, Sal Capaccio on the West Her Hotline. When we return, Cody Alexander, we're going to talk a little